see. It says, what is the one thing that will get on your nerves immediately? If we could just have a book on that. So, I think for me, the one thing that would actually get on my nerve immediately is people not having patience. I think that we are now in a fast-paced society that everything is immediate gratification.
Yep.
They want it to be done fast. They want to make the money fast. They want to hurry through a conversation and not actually take the time to sit and listen to someone or come from a place of understanding and speaking to respond rather than to understand.
Right.
So for me, really quickly, it's annoying, which it shouldn't be, but then I have to learn how to have the patience myself because I have to understand where everyone's coming from.
Okay.
Background and how they were raised. And then I think, being from like a military background and then also traveling around the world, you also get to see different things that a lot of people didn't get to see. So that's where I have the patience to sit back and be like, okay, so let's talk about this, or let's see it this way, or, from my perspective. And right now I was in a phase of trying to have people understand me.
Okay.
Now it's just more of allow them to be who they need to be. And then so I can protect my peace and my energy.
Yep.
And just let them say what they need to say.
What's like the worst setting that you've been in where patience just doesn't exist?
In our setting with the restaurant industry?
I was going to say, hint, where do we work?
Yes. It would be probably a couple situations. So in the restaurant industry, yes, because everybody wants to get their food right away. They want to make sure that, because they have places to be, but don't understand the dynamics of the industry itself. Right? So you can relate to that.
Yeah.
Other settings that people don't have patience is traveling.
I traveled. The people there are patient, which is nice because I didn't know where to go in that airport. That airport, I went by myself and
oh, that's amazing.
I was stressed. No, it was great. It was a great experience, but I was stressed the hell out. I was walking up and down these stairs and I was just like, I'm going to miss this flight just because I don't know where I'm going.
Yes.
Thankfully, it was delayed because it was JetBlue. So
you're
guaranteed. You're guaranteed to get a delayed flight with JetBlue. I noticed that much.
No, I feel like JetBlue, actually, you arrive early.
Really?
Yes.
I gotta go on the flights with you then.
I know, you have to, yeah. Every experience that I've had, I've always arrived early. Never had a problem. Fly with me because I have JetBlue points.
I have one main question.
Sure.
Do you think people can change? Now, I have a feeling that you're going to say yes, probably. But someone told, because I think it's a yes, but someone told me that if you put someone back in a familiar setting, they're going to go back to their old ways. So people can't change. What do you think of that?
Maybe it's twofold. Do they want to change? So I feel that people could change, but again, going back to their dynamics and their history and their background, do they want to change?
Yeah.
Is it something that benefits them? Because I feel that a lot of people don't have that education of having the patience, come from a place of understanding.
Yep.
And if that's what they were raised in, that type of environment, and nobody showed them, do they have the tools to actually know how to change?
Right.
So if somebody comes along and teaches them that, there's a difference. So you have a choice, right? So if they teach you, hey, why don't you try to do it this way? Or, hey, I think this would help you out. Now, I think coming from experience, we see people different, we see environments different, we see what somebody could potentially have or what they could be. But that doesn't mean that that's what they want to be.
Right, exactly. And so when this person told me that people don't change, I was telling this person that if you put them back in a familiar setting and they end up relapsing, that just means that they haven't maybe learned or fully gotten over what it is that they need to get over.
Correct.
So it's not that they haven't changed, they just haven't grown officially yet.
To be honest with you, I really think it depends on who you're asking.
Yeah.
And who the person is and what situation they're in, and are they seeking help? Is there trauma there? Is there something in their childhood that they just can't let go of? Do they know how to do it?
Right. Is it change or is it growth?
I think it's both.
Both.
Yeah. Because you change with the environment, right? So here's the thing.
But the environment didn't change.
Correct. The environment didn't change, but you also have, what's that saying where you have twins and you have the same environment? You both grow up in the same situation, but then one person chooses to stay emotionally, mentally in that situation, and the other one decides on their own, or maybe with someone showing them something,
right,
and saying, I don't want to live like this, and I don't want to be like this, and I want to change.
Right, and that's what I was thinking too, is I feel like change comes once you learn to deal with trauma. If you haven't dealt with trauma, then you're always going to, even when you're not even in that same place will follow you somewhere else.
Correct.
That familiar feeling will just keep resonating in any aspect of your life.
What are your biggest priorities in life? To be happy.
Okay.
I think that as you age and as you grow in life, my priority right now is going to be something different compared to what my priorities were when 2 years ago, or when I was 15, or when I was 10, or even in my early 20s and 30s. So priority now is to live life to its fullest, live in the moment, and just enjoy it. Yeah, embrace everybody that comes to me, because again, life's not, tomorrow's not given. And I don't think that we have a say-so in what's going to end up happening, So there's two major things in our life, our birth and our death.
So what does it mean for you to live? How do you feel alive? I was also reading this other, like a little slip, and it said, ask yourself, what does it mean to live?
So for me, I think it's more of going back to that question, enjoying life.
Enjoying life.
Yeah. To how does it feel to live? It's embracing everything, being able to have that freedom of opening up the window and smelling the fresh air, right? Being able to have that freedom of getting in your car and driving where you want to, making sure that you are plentiful in everything that you have and not, living in scarcity. But we are, pretty much, we are. But as you get older, I feel that now I am learning how to not worry as much. In my past, I've learned to let go of a lot of things. So that's how I'm living, because I'm not also gonna allow someone else to control my feelings. My emotions.
Yes.
That is living, because I feel that if somebody does have a hold on your emotions and you can't control them, that you're technically not living, because you're always living in fear. You're always living in what people are going to think about you. You're always living in the past or the things that, you were affected by trauma, right? And if you allow yourself to kind of learn how to let those things go, you can actually live and live plentiful, live, like enjoying and laughing, and that's.
So what part, like what makes you feel alive? What do you do to feel alive?
Music.
Okay. You sing? Wait, what do you do, Kathy?
No.
What do you do that I didn't know?
No, not at all.
Music.
I mean, I think I can, but then when I took the microphone off, I was like, oh my God, no.
Wait, this is
in the
real.
shower, when you turn everything off, I'm like, yeah, that was horrible. That was a cat screaming. Call 911. Yeah, we're not even doing it. So, I like to talk to my children, to hear their voices, that makes me happy. Again, I like to hear music because it just kind of resonates in you, whether it's going back to the past or the happy times and the happy moments. I always want to feel like I'm moving forward and not going backwards. I want to experience things new restaurants, new drinks, new people. I would like to travel, so that's going to be in the future.
Yeah.
So traveling is going to be like living.
But what makes you feel like alive in this moment? Like, is it going to work that makes you feel alive? Is it being with a partner?
So I don't have a partner.
Just let everyone know.
I know. Yeah. So I think feeling alive is. I would have to think about that.
Yeah, that one's a tough one, right?
Yeah, I think it is, because everybody is waking up, going on a routine, doing the things that they need to do, pay their bills, go really fast paced, slow it down a little bit. But to feel alive, I think that is more just being happy. I don't want to be sad.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to be sad. People stick to the same kind of cycles.
I don't think they learned how to break it.
No.
Or know how to get out of it.
Yeah, and so one person actually told me that they were upset with a family member because they kept basically falling into these bad habits of hanging out with bad people and doing bad things, all this stuff. And they were just like, you know what, he knows what he's doing it intentionally, like, I can't do this anymore. And then that's when I was like, but he doesn't. I was like, he stays in that same cycle of like bad places and bad people because it's familiar. It's what keeps him comfortable. To answer the question for him, I feel like that's what makes him feel alive.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't came out of that cycle, that trauma, because of whatever he went through. So
that makes sense.
It made me think though, when this person was like, oh, like they're choosing to be in this cycle of their life, and I was like, no, but they're not.
I don't think anybody chooses to be miserable or in a cycle or anything again. So speaking of friends, I did tell my girlfriend that when we're born, we're all born pretty much happy, right? Yeah. So children are happy until something happens to them that they're not happy, and then they're sad. And then when they're sad, or they're behaving or reacting, what's the first thing that everybody says? Oh, you're being bad.
Yeah.
But does anyone ever sit there and say, hey, what happened to make you feel sad, or that you're reacting this way? So the more that people hear those things,
even as kids too,
you keep growing up thinking that that's the type of behavior that you need to have, or the type of person that you need to be.
Right.
So maybe back to your friend, that's all he knows how to be, because no one else is saying, hey, what's going on? And
no one's asking the important questions. Yeah. That's why they also say, like, you shouldn't say you're fine. Like, if a kid falls, you shouldn't be like, oh, you're fine, stop crying. Like, you should always tell them, like, okay, where does it hurt? Like, okay, what do you want to do? Like, how do we make it feel better? You don't want to, like, dismiss their feelings, because then they're going to grow up to be like, oh, okay. Like, anytime I get hurt, even probably emotionally, which is what I'm saying is a bit of a reach, but even when I get hurt emotionally, which is the worst kind of pain, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get back up. Instead of like sitting with the pain and being like, okay, like my knee hurts, I fell, I might need a Band-Aid or an ice pack. Mom just said, you're fine. So it's like, all right, well, now I have to limp with this a little bit and just like walk it off, because Mom said I'm fine.
But fine is not an emotion, right?
Right.
So it's just more of it's kind of a statement. But I think that, we as parents, and I can go based on this because somebody else was asking me this, and we as parents, we don't have a rule book. As we grow up, we're learning from somebody who was taught by somebody else who was taught by somebody else who was taught.
Right.
So parents and generations just continue to take that path, but then does that mean that that's the right way to raise?
Right.
So having children, we're basically doing the same thing that they're telling us to do, or what we've seen or what we've heard.
Right.
We haven't done it ourselves. Someone's telling us,
Right.
Oh, well, if you tell him he'll be fine, he'll be fine. So then I say, oh, you'll be fine. And then as my children get older, they're like,
you'll be fine.
Wait a minute, Mommy, but I'm not fine. Because now they have a voice.
Oh, yeah.
Now they're like, and I was like, oh, okay. So what happened? Now that, because in that parent mind, we're thinking that's what we have to do, because there is no rule book. Somebody wrote it down, but until you experience it, is it really something that needs to happen, or that I have to say that that's going to happen. But my mom said it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, because it's like how, like you said, there's no physical book, so how are you supposed to know what's right and what's wrong? How do you know what you don't know, basically?
Correct.
Which is my favorite question. How do you know what you don't know? And it's like, oh, you don't. Exactly. I was like, there has to be an answer to that question, because no way I'm still sitting here asking it. I need to know what the answer is. But yeah, no, you're right. It's all like generational knowledge and culture too, because
it has a lot to do with it. Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of European cultures are based on, you need to get up. You need to keep going. Like, you need to work and provide and keep going. There's no, like, if you can't physically see the problem, then there is no problem.
Correct.
That's how I always kind of saw it as. And I never understood that mindset until I got a concussion. And then, I banged the back of my head. I was out one night and I was going to bed and I was like, I didn't realize that hookah and alcohol can really get the best of you.
I love hookah.
So I love hookah. Oh my God. I can't. I didn't realize mixing the two was not a good choice. So
that instant high.
Yeah, when I got the O's. When I got to my room, and like that was when I like sat on my bed, I was like, oh shoot. I was like, yeah, I am not okay. Yeah, literally. So when I leaned back, I banged the crap out of my head on my bed frame. Ooh, my ears were ringing. I was like, I'm not gonna throw up. I was like, oh no. I was like, no way, I just gave myself a concussion over this, over some hookah. That's crazy. Wow. But basically, fast forwarding, I didn't realize that the whole, like, if you can't see it, then it's not a thing. A concussion, like, it's trauma to the brain, like physical trauma to the brain. But, you know, there was no physical symptoms. Like, I had a knot in my neck, or in my head, but like I massaged it out and I was fine. So I just thought, okay, like, we're good. Like, there's nothing going on. Like, I might just be a little hungover. And then when I looked down to like look into the freezer, I just remember my head like leaning forward, and I was like,
into the freezer.
Not into the freezer, but like my head was like leaning on the fridge, and my sister was like, you need to go to the doctor. So I was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah. So they told me I had a mild concussion, and I was like, all right, it's mild, it means nothing. So I'm still working on like papers and essays, and like I'm trying to get through like this whole like assignment, and everything is underlined red. No words were spelled right. Even the word when was spelled wrong. Don't know how I threw a Z in there.
That's my everyday life.
Yeah. Well, it was terrible, and I was like, okay. And then I like pushed too hard because I was trying to finish up the semester, and my body started like twitching, and like my body started reacting really negatively from like me pushing so much and not resting, like the doctors told me to. And I was like, wow, like, that's kind of like the whole mental health part. Like, I learned like the cultural aspect of like, if you can't see it, then there is no problem, so keep going.
Correct.
But now it's like, all right, like, when you have things to do, when you have priorities, if you can't see it, then out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. Like, so I feel like European like cultural people, they are such hard workers, so they choose, like, I feel like they feel like they don't have much of a choice but to keep it out of sight, out of mind, because they have so much to provide for. Like, they have so much.
Then again, it was more instilled in them too.
That too.
You know?
Yeah.
So again, going back to culture.
Yeah, like it's the generational grow up, basically. Yeah. So, but I learned that one the hard way, basically. The whole, I was like, I don't understand why Latins don't get the whole mental health thing. And I was like, well, obviously, if I can't get the physical health part, like I get it now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say that Asians don't too, so I'm not going to generalize. I'm just going to go based off of my household. You know, same thing. My mom's from Thailand, right?
Yeah.
Asians, children are seen, not heard.
Yeah.
So it's very strict, you know, a very heavy hand in a sense. Well, let me put a roof over your head. I fed you, but, you know, do I got to play with you? Do I got to tell you I love you? Do I, you know, go outside?
Those little details now. Yeah, exactly. Are you sure you can't do that on your own?
Exactly. But everybody's different, you know, so maybe somebody else learned differently, you know, but then, you know, for me, it's more of a, we don't talk about those things.
Yeah.
You know, we keep it in the household. Nobody has to know, because they're also, you know, in the Asian culture, it's more of a, you know, not bring shame to the family, you know,
Yep.
and we don't, you know, go over the top, which is, you know, your parents, and
Right.
you don't disrespect. So we just keep it hush.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And so I get that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, that's funny that you say that too, because my mom actually mentioned that a couple days ago. Like, kids, my niece was here, and she was like, Grandma, look at this, Grandma. She's like, you know, back in my day, kids were meant to be seen, not heard. You're very lucky now. I was like,
yeah.
oh man, I get it now. I get it all now. But we are now wrapping up.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for being on here with me.
Of course.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And I don't really know how to end this. Stick around for next week's episode.
Yes.
Is that what they say?
Yes, they
I
do.
can't promise a next week episode, but stick around. Yeah. Okay. And that's it.
Oh,
Cut.
Cut. Like this. Go.
Like that.